Dixit.
Yes.
The post-Sankranti session, I'm sure, is going to warm all of us enough to share some bright smiles amongst us. I can see all the senior members doing that already. Here, I request all members once again to kindly switch off your cameras and audios when the talk begins. And also, if whenever there is a question, please keep putting in the chat box, and all of these will be taken up at the end of the talk. Now I invite Dr. Kalyani Bondre of our Pune branch of this association, who is a renowned singer, classical singer rather, and imagine she has a PhD in economics and teaches economics in the Symbiosis Institute. So here she is. Kalyani, over to you, my dear.
Thank you, Amrita ji. So I'm going to start with a prayer for the entire humanity. So as like before we started the meeting today, there was a lot of chat happening on COVID and how COVID has disturbed our routine and our lives. So this is a prayer for the entire humanity to restore things as they were before. And instead of a usual invocation, I've chosen this for today because I think this is very relevant. This was written by the great poet Sahil Ludhianvi ji more than 50 years ago, but I think it is very relevant in today's context as well. अल्लाह तेरो नाम ईश्वर तेरो नाम अल्लाह तेरो नाम ईश्वर तेरो नाम सबको इस धरती का रूप ना जड़े इस धरती का रूप ना जड़े प्यार की ठंडी धूप ना जड़े प्यार की ठंडी धूप ना जड़े सबको मिले दाता सबको मिले सुख का वरदान सबको सन्मति दे भगवान अल्लाह तेरो नाम ओ सारी जग के रखवाले ओ सारे जग के रखवाले निर्बल को बल देने वाले निर्बल को बल देने दे ज्ञान सबको सन्मति दे भगवान अल्लाह तेरो नाम ईश्वर तेरो अल्लाह तेरो नाम ईश्वर तेरो नाम अल्लाह तेरो नाम. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kalyani, for the beautiful recitation. And now I invite our President of Indian Federation of University Women's Association, Dr. Ranjana Banerjee, for her opening remarks.
Thank
Dr.
you, Amrita.
Yeah.
It is a moment of great honor to have with us Dr. Sitaram Dixit, who is going to illuminate us on a very important, relevant issue that engulfs all our lives regarding food adulteration. I welcome all of you to this evening's program that we have managed to organize enlightening programs even when COVID looms large in our life. It is at least we have been able to bring together members and resource persons to keep us going. Today's topic has been on the minds of many members to know and to explore actually what happens in this food adulteration and what redressal measures we can have. It affects our health, it affects our well-being and our sustenance. So therefore, members, without further delay, I'm happy to have with us our resource person this evening, Dr. Sitaram Dixit, whose deliberations are going to enrich our minds in this most useful area that occupies our existence. Thank you, and over to you, Amrita.
Yeah, thank you, Ranjana dear. Yes, Dr. Sitaram Dixit, he has been a former member of Academic Council member of Nagpur University, as well as the Board of Studies member there. He is a member of Technical Advisory Committee for Essential Oils at the Ministry of Industries, Government of India. He has a PhD, holds a PhD on functional chemistry of natural essential oils. He was honored and also awarded an honorary diploma in France by Aromatic Therapy Foundation's Scientific College. He has over 34 years of experience in home and personal care, including cosmetic industry, holding senior managerial positions. He has been a researcher throughout his career, having published more than 150 research papers in scientific journals of national as well as international repute. Besides being a member of Governing Council of Bureau of Indian Standards, he is also a member of various divisional committees and sectional committees concerned with the framing of Indian national standards, like some examples: Chemical Division Council, Petroleum, Coal and Related Products, Food and Drug Divisional Council, and so on. Friends, the list is quite long. Dr. Dixit was an honorary faculty in Bombay University, and currently he is honorary visiting faculty for Technical Resources Program with Ministry of Industries, Government of India. And you are aware that he is right now the chairman of Consumer Guidance Society of India. I welcome you, sir, and I invite you to kindly address the audience.
Thank you very much. Thanks to Ms. Purobi Ghosh and Dr. Ranjana Banerjee for inviting me to this session. Without taking much time, we start with understanding what exactly is food adulteration and why it's necessary. If you see, this was a report which was sent by the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India.
Dr.
And-
Dixit, a little louder, please.
Yeah, we can't hear.
Okay. I'll do one thing. I'll just stop my video so that the bandwidth increases.
Yeah, you have to increase your audio. It is not audible at all.
No, actually, audio is actually full. It is totally full. Anyway, I will try to louden
I
my
think
voice.
let all of us shut down our cameras and audios.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably I've gone with Mary because I have made it full.
This is better. This is better.
Yeah. Now you are able to hear me better?
Yes, yes, yes.
Fine. This is a report by the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, whom we normally known as FSSAI. This is prior to COVID system or COVID situation, probably in 2019. And in 2019, that report is really shocking if you see every fifth food sample is adulterated or misbranded. They have done it in all the states. Since we are staying in Maharashtra, Maharashtra also, if you actually see the list, it comes fifth in the list with almost more than 1,162 samples being found to be adulterated. Of course, it is led by naturally the one which is having the maximum population, that is Uttar Pradesh, followed by Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat. This is the situation, and if you ask me, this situation has not really changed a lot, because whatever the government does in terms of laws and regulations, the adulterators are generally one step ahead of them so that they can find out a loophole and get away from it. So the best option is for us to be safe is to understand ourselves, and as we say, prevention is better than cure. It is always better to see that you do not consume adulterated food rather than worry after consumption. If you ask me, what is adulteration? Adulteration means there are many definitions. If you go through the various books, you will find a lot of definitions. We will just go to one single definition, which is a very easy definition for you to understand. It is the act of intentionally debasing the quality of food offered for sale, either by admixture, that is addition, or by substitution, by inferior substances, or removal of some valuable ingredient. In all these cases, it is considered as adulteration. The important point to note is intentionally debasing. If somebody does it intentionally, the idea is very clear. It is to earn money and earn profit. And when such a thing happens, it is harmful for the consumer as a user. And in our lecture, we are going to deal with this intentional debasing, because there are two types of contamination. One is contamination, one is adulteration. Contamination is also adulteration, but it is not that serious because it is done by error. I will give you an example. A very good example is, supposing I am going to test milk to find out whether it is having any adulteration. On testing, I find that it is having detergent or it is having soap. Generally, as a tester, you tend to believe that they are added soap or detergent as an adulterant. But it is quite possible that it is not an adulterant, but rather it is because of improper cleaning of the vessels or utensils, due to which it was tested to have contained detergent or soap. Now, this is not a deliberate deliberate mixing, but it is something to do with this incompetence in cleaning or following good manufacturing or manufacturing practices. So this thing can be rectified because it is not done deliberately. Rectification is possible, you can rectify it, ask him to change it, and things will go for the better. But if somebody has added soap or detergent, basically with the intention of cheating,
কারণ এটা না আমার কিছু বোঝার নেই,
in that case,
একটা টপিক অত্যন্ত বোরিং। সব সময় যদি সবকিছুতে ডাকে তাহলে কি করা যাবে? আর না গেলে আবার প্রেসিডেন্ট রেগে যাবে।
it is called as
Shamosri,
adulteration, and we
Shamosri,
will-
please put yourself on mute.
there is a second important point also to be noted along with adulteration, because both of them go hand in hand, and that is misbranding. Misbranding is also a very, very common occurrence. It is imitation or substitute, adding color or flavor which is not permitted, and trying to deceive the consumer. A typical example is say made in USA, made by USA, made as USA. It need not be made actually in USA, it could be made as USA. That means it is just a duplication of what is made in United States of America. It could be anywhere made in any part of the country, but only written, made as Japan. These are called as misbranding. In both these cases, as a consumer, you get cheated. But the difference between adulteration and misbranding is, in case of misbranding, the company which is manufacturing is not really involved in it. Whereas in case of adulteration, many a time, even the manufacturer themselves could be involved in adulteration, or it could be somebody in their supply chain distribution network. However, from a consumer point of view, in both these cases, the consumer suffers. Between the two, if it is misbranding, it is easier for a consumer to take care of the issue, because he just have to call the consumer customer care number of the manufacturer, inform him that there is some misbranding going on. They have the entire legal team. They have the entire team for them to catch hold of the person who is doing the adulteration activity and see that that is stopped. However, in case of adulteration, some times or many times, even the company which is manufacturing does not come to know of it, that adulteration is taking place in its product, because these adulteration takes place in the supply chain distribution network, as I told you earlier. So as a person, as a consumer, what is important for us to see? The most easiest one is to read the label. Labels are to be read which is behind and not in front. What is there in front is more of advertisement. You may find some film star or a cricketer who is promoting the product, whose photograph is mentioned on the front with the brand name. And if at all, if there is any scheme, that is what is kept in the front to attract the consumer. What is more important is to see behind. What is written? Many a time it is written in such small letters that it might be very times difficult for you to even read it. However, as per the new law, it is said that all the writings which is there behind should be minimum font size 8. Although the rule says that minimum font size 8, what they do is they deliberately try to, if they want to hide it, they deliberately try to keep the font in such a manner that it is very difficult for the consumer to read, especially the ingredients. What they generally use is Arial narrow font. That Arial narrow font is so difficult to read that it is a loophole which is exploited by the manufacturer. They will not be Times Roman, they may not put Georgia, which are very easy for somebody to read. But if it is normal Arial also you can read. But if they say Arial narrow font, then it is very difficult for the consumer to read it. However, it is necessary to read it properly before purchasing. Even if it is difficult, it is always better to check it out as to whether you are purchasing the material that you want or you are purchasing material that you rather avoid. There are 6 important things which you should see in a label. Number 1, what is the item? Normally we see that. So that's not very important from that point of view. Manufacturer and packer. This is also very, very important to see, because many a time the manufacturer is different and the packer is different. Manufacturer could be a very big multinational organization, whereas a packer could be somebody who is running his outlet somewhere, maybe in Dharavi or maybe in Kurla or such places, where you will not get the proper manufacturing requirement or good hygiene, etc. So it is very important for you to see. Not only that, both the manufacturer as well as the packer, both should have FSSAI license, and both the licenses should be different. It should not be same. Because many times we cannot rule out even the big organizations due to cost cutting, they give toll operations or third-party manufacturing licenses to people who do not have FSSAI license. Having an FSSAI license even by the packer is important, because then FSSAI is directly responsible for the hygiene and the minimum basic requirements as per the food safety norms or the act which is passed by the parliament. Manufacturing and packing, these are also very, very important. When it is manufactured and when it is packed, especially in case of food products, especially products which are does not have a long shelf life. For example, it could be a bread, it could be a cake, it could be a sweet bun. All these things have a shelf life of only 4 days. So it is very important to check whether the manufacturing as well as the packing is done on the same day or it is done on different days. And if it is on different days, then the 4-day limit starts from the manufacturing date and not from the packing date. It's very important for you to understand that. It is not from the packing date, but from the manufacturing date. So it is important that manufacturing and packing, these things normally happen in normal packs, which is made either with paper or with plastic. You can normally find these issues in bread, in buns, which is repacked, because the buns and the becks and the khari biscuits, the rusk, etc. are manufactured by big bakers in bakeries. And then from the bakery, somebody gets it from them in wholesale and packs it in smaller packs and sells it. In such cases, it is very important to find out what it is written, whether it is written packed date or manufacturing date. If it is a repack, then both should be mentioned, what is the manufacturing date and what is the packing date. And your counting will start from manufacturing date and not from packing date. That is very important. Quantity is another important aspect which you should see. In India, it is permitted to pack only in round figures. That means it is in 100, 150, 200, 250, 500. But you will generally find 15 grams free. That's how they will sell. And then they will write it in a very small letter, non-standard pack. This is also a way to cheat people. Big organizations do it differently. What they do is, they will say this pack is 85 plus 15 free, and so it is 100, so it is a standard pack. This is how they do it. 85 plus 15, and then they will advertise in the front, 15 is free. When really speaking, it is a 100-gram pack, 15 is not at all free. It is only a way to tell you that they are giving you something extra, when in reality, they are charging you for the entire 100 grams. These are the ways even big organizations market and feed the consumer. Best before date and best before use. This is also very, very important. There is best before and there is an expiry date. Expiry date is always a preferred method than a best before use method. In best before, if you use it, supposing there is a best before date which is said as say 10th of January, and on 10th of January at 12 o'clock night, because considering that the day changes or the date changes at 12 midnight as per the current norm, then will the product get bad the moment it becomes 12:01 night? That means 001 night. Whereas it was absolutely okay a minute earlier. These are questions which has been always discussed. But however, things have not really government has not taken the things very seriously, or although the government has said that they are going to get the expiry date also to be put into all the food products. It has not yet come, although some companies voluntarily are writing expiry date, but still best before use is still mentioned in many of the products. So that also is important for you to check it out. What is best before? It is always better to use it much earlier than the best before date. Especially those products which are prone to fungal infections. Example, cakes, biscuits, which contain moisture in it, bread, etc. So food adulteration is not something new. It is growing as long as the population is there, as long as the manufacturers keep increasing, there is a tendency to do it. And every nation in this world has suffered, and it is rampant. There is nothing that anybody can stop except the consumer themselves by learning and knowing as to what is good and what is bad. Governments all over the world, every government has got rules and regulations to be followed, but implementation has always been poor, especially in those countries where either the population is high or there is rampant corruption in those implementation bodies. India is one such country where we have wonderful laws, wonderful rules, and wonderful regulations, but unfortunately, the implementation is so poor that by the time the consumer gets the product, most of the rules, laws, regulations are broken. So only an aware consumer, an informed consumer will be able to eliminate by continuous routine monitoring. Routinely, you will have to keep checking, at least not for others, at least for your own health. It is always better to be safe than sorry. Let us take an example of fruit. Fruits is a very good example. The method of ripening fruits, let's take an example of banana. The best method of ripening a fruit is to ripen on the tree. The second was to keep it in hay. The third was bhatti. And the fourth is ethylene gas. The first, the second, and the third has almost been eliminated because it consumes a lot of time. If you keep it in a tree, there is always a possibility of somebody stealing it from the tree. Somebody else will come and cut it and go away. Keeping it in hay takes a long time, although mangoes are still done to some extent, but then it is only a facade. Naturally, it doesn't happen that way. Smoking, by giving out smoke, due to pollution concerns, many of these ripening effects cannot happen in cities and towns. It has to be done in the villages. People really don't do it because of its inconvenience. So bhatti is also eliminated today. Ethylene gas is permitted. Ethylene is the correct method to do it. How they do it is, you have a room where you keep your fruit and you inject ethylene gas for 24 seconds at 8 points. So you can consider in a room all the 4 corners. You inject ethylene gas. Wait for 24 hours. Then again inject about for 12 seconds at 4 points. Again wait for 24 hours. In short, it will take 48 hours, that is minimum 2 days for any fruit to get ripened. Now, if you see from a commercial perspective, the seller or the farmer says that, why should I spend 4 days of inventory cost? That means he has to pay for the room, he has to pay for the rent for the room, he has to take care to see that nobody steals it from the room. All this cost money, which eventually leads to the cost of the material. So to avoid all that, even though ethylene gas is permitted by law, what they do is they add calcium carbide. Calcium carbide is a product which is like a broken stone. It will be just like pebbles, which is put into a brown packet and actually inserted between the fruit. The difference between ethylene gas system and calcium carbide is, whenever you pack a fruit, it automatically releases ethylene gas and a little of moisture. This moisture dissolves calcium carbide and releases acetylene gas. Now, the amount of acetylene gas behaves very similarly to way ethylene gas behaves. So, in that manner, both are similar as far as the ripening of the fruit is concerned. However, acetylene gas, when it enters into the ripening process, it also forms some byproducts which are harmful, due to which acetylene is not permitted. Ethylene is permitted because it is a natural process. Automatically, when something ripens, ethylene is evaporated by nature, and therefore ethylene gas is officially permitted by FSSAI. Calcium carbide is not permitted. However, supposing there is a farmer who is staying, say, somewhere in, say, Andhra Pradesh, and he wants to send a truck of mangoes to Mumbai, what he does is, he takes a truck, fills it up with mangoes. In the middle, he puts calcium carbide pellets wrapped in brown bag or brown paper bag, intermittently along with the mangoes, and believing that by the time the mangoes come to Mumbai, it will take about 2 to 3 days, it will get ripened. So automatically he saves on the cost of the room wherein he has to use it for if he is going to ripen with ethylene gas. So he saves on time, he saves on money, and the entire ripening process takes place during the transportation of the product from the place of origin to the place of sale. This is actually harmful, but then they are hardly bothered. Calcium carbide has already been banned officially, but if you actually go and visit those big mandis, especially if you go to APMC market in Navi Mumbai, you will actually find it is still going on. And nobody is stopping it. How will you find out? For example, if it is mango season is coming soon. If you find the mango is not totally green or totally yellow, but there are spots of greens and yellows on the skin, you can take it for sure that this ripening has been done using calcium carbide. Because calcium carbide, acetylene gas does not ripen it overall. It ripens in spurts at different points. That is how you can identify whether it is calcium carbide and this. The best way is if you find to go to the market, pick up the fruit, and you find that there are spots of green and yellow on your list, probably the person who is selling you says, "Paka nahi hai, it has not ripened." But actually what has happened is, it has used been calcium carbide has been used, that is, some parts of the fruit has been ripened, some part has not been ripened. Generally, the ripening should be overall similar in the entire fruit. It should be slowly from green, it should become light green, from light green to become yellow. But it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen because calcium carbide. Dichloroethane hydroxy diphosphonic acid is another chemical which is also used to ripen your banana. This is a dangerous chemical which is used by textile industry and is a major reason for causing cancer and other harmful diseases in humans in your consumption. This is generally used in banana. When bananas are dipped in this material, it ripens quickly. I'll just show you a couple of films. I hope you are able to see the film.
Can't hear. Can't hear.
He's not speaking, there's only music on the video.
For you to what happened in market. They turn the
तरह के काले कारोबारों को देखा होगा, लेकिन मैं आपको लुधियाना में इंडिया नाट से दिखाने जा रहा हूँ कि हरी सब्जियों का काला कारोबार हो रहा है, जिसमें केमिकल डालकर जो आम लोगों की ज़िंदगी से खिलवाड़ किया जा रहा है।
के खेती में लगाए जाते हैं, दिखाया जाता है, सरेआम देख रही है।
अच्छा,
कुछ मंडी में भी होता है।
हाँ,
भिंडी है,
हाँ,
परवर है,
हाँ,
उसमें भी केमिकल से उसको कलर किया जाता है,
जिसमें केमिकल नुकसानदेह है, जिससे कैंसर, अल्सर और कई तरह की बीमारियां हो सकती हैं। और इसका ज़्यादातर नुकसान हमारे ही समाज पर पड़ता है, मेरे समाज पर पड़ता है। जो मेरे समाज के लोग अनपढ़ और ज़्यादा जो कामगार लोग हैं वो हैं।
आम गरीब आदमी का नुकसान सेहत का है। नहीं है कि बीमारी किसी प्रकार का तो पैदा हो ही सकता है।
अच्छा,
हम डॉक्टर तो है नहीं कि इससे क्या होगा।
तो केमिकल पाया जा रहा है, फिर तो बहुत सेहत खराब है, तो बिल्कुल हानिकारक है। तो केमिकल डाल रहे हैं, हरा कर रहे हैं सब्जी को, नुकसानदेह है कि नहीं?
ये परमल होता है, जो दिल्ली की परमल आती है, दिल्ली से ही रंगा हुआ आता है।
अच्छा,
दिल्ली की मंडी, आजाद मंडी से ही रंगा हुआ आता है, तो लुधियाने में आता है, लुधियाने मंडी के ही व्यापारी लाके बेचते हैं।
तो मतलब राजधानी में ऐसा काम हो रहा है, वहाँ कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करता?
मेरे को क्या पता लगता है जी, जैसे आता है वैसे मैं बेचता हूँ, नहीं कार्रवाई होता है, ये बात है।
ये गलत है, तो कानूनी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। ये सब्जियाँ केमिकल पान दिया गया है। जो सरकार का रवैया वो कैसा है? सरकार प्रशासन कोई कार्रवाई करता है?
नहीं, कोई प्रशासन नहीं कर रहा।
तो आप क्या मांग करते हैं कि इन पे कार्रवाई हो? प्रशासन
करना चाहिए महाराज। सब्जी मंडी में भी कीड़े मारना चाहिए कि जो कोई मिक्स कर रंग करता है, कलर करता है, तो जी दवाई उसको भी पकड़ना चाहिए।
जिला स्वास्थ्य अधिकारी ने बेशक इन सब्जियों पर कार्रवाई करने के आदेश दिए, लेकिन सरकार की और प्रशासन की कार्रवाई लचीली ही नजर आती है। लुधियाना में कारोबार धड़ल्ले से चल रहा है, तो इसके लिए क्या कार्रवाई प्रशासन करेगा, कब करेगा? और जो खेती करने वाले लोग हैं, जो शुरुआत जहाँ से करते हैं, उन पर क्या कार्रवाई होगी? केमिकल डालने वालों पर क्या कार्रवाई होगी? केमिस्टों पर क्या कार्रवाई होगी? ये तो आने वाला समय ही बताएगा। लुधियाना से इंडिया।
Well, banana vendors have been allegedly using ethanol ethyl, a chemical, to ripen bananas in Gulbarga. Vendors mix about 50 ml of the ethyl chemical to about 20 liters of water and soak unripe bananas in it. Usually unripe bananas take 15 days to ripen, but using the ethyl chemical, vendors ripen the bananas in a day. When the chemical is applied on the bananas, the skin turns yellow and the fruit appears ripe. It is then sold to unsuspecting customers.
Well, of Navratri, a lot of people consume bananas after breaking their fast, and the demand for this fruit has immensely increased in the market. So in order to produce more and more bananas in short time, the farmers in Farokhabad district of Uttar Pradesh has injected oxytocin injections in banana trees to increase the productivity. The farmers are doing it just to earn more and more money without thinking about its ill effects.
ये भैंस वाला इंजेक्शन लगाते हैं, इसलिए लगाते हैं कि जो है फली में जो है 7 दिन में लगभग फली पुष्ट हो जाती है और मार्केट में जो है अच्छी पैसा प्राप्त होता है।
Meanwhile, doctors believe that use of oxytocin in fruits or other eatables can lead to death if consumed continuously.
फल को कर देंगे और खाने से बीमारियां आ सकती हैं। हार्मोन्स आपके बॉडी में एक्सेस जाएगा तो आपके अंदर का या किसी भी खाने वाले के अंदर का हार्मोनल पूरा इंडोक्राइन सिस्टम को चेंज करेगा, नॉकआउट करेगा और एक तरह से जहरीला बना देगा। कोई भी चीज़ जब एक्सेस में होती है, हाँ ज़्यादा दिन यूज करें तो लॉन्ग टर्म में मौत भी हो सकती है।
Though these people are injecting these poisonous injections in front of camera, but authorities are sleeping in their dens and watching the crime like mute spectators.
Now you have seen the film.
Sitaram, some people could not hear the audio. If you can just explain what it was.
Yeah. You have seen the film. In the film, you saw how colors are added to products. Malachite green is added to make it green. Dichlorohydroxy diphosphonic acid is a liquid which is used to dip the bananas to make it yellow. How this idea came into being? You will all remember when the mall came into practice, the first thing was Reliance Fresh. Reliance Fresh started importing bananas from Colombia, which was yellow in color. At that time, the Colombian bananas were costing about 40 rupees per dozen, whereas the normal bananas which was made in India and ripened in the batti system or in the normal system was being sold for 12 rupees. And the banana was never becoming yellow like a Colombian banana. So somebody discovered that if you dip it in dichloroethane hydroxide diphosphonic acid, which is actually a textile chemical, it becomes very similar to what a Colombian banana is. And then if you sell it, say about 30-35 rupees, 5 to 10 rupees lower than the Reliance Fresh market, you will be able to make much bigger profit than selling it for 10 rupees and 15 rupees. It was with this idea that this chemical was brought in as a ripening process. Unfortunately, people have misused it, and even today, when Reliance Fresh has stopped importing Colombian bananas, it has continued, and today also you will find the same bananas which are normally green color bananas, it is not available in the market at all. You will only get yellow bananas. Now, when I am talking about yellow bananas, I am talking about green made yellow and not the regular yellow which is called as safed ilachi or even Kerala bananas, which are big size. They are naturally yellow. What is the best way to avoid this? The only way is to stop using it, stop buying it. In fact, I did not purchase for nearly about 12 to 13 years. But now because of COVID, sometimes you don't get any fruit, you are forced to buy this because that is the only one which is available. The green banana is not available. So that is the situation of a consumer. After some time, situation becomes such that since other good materials are not available, he is forced to buy the banana, which knowingly that it has been made yellow because of addition of DHEP. So that's the important part. What is the best way? As far as possible, avoid it and use only those bananas which are naturally yellow. Buy that and eat it. Or the other option is buy raw bananas and ripen it at your house, which may not be a very feasible option for people in towns and cities. But that's the fact of life. Prevention is always better than cure. Avoidance is the best. These are two examples. Oxytocin injections, which are injected into plants. Because basically, these are injections which are given to animals to increase milk production. Now that is used even for increasing the size of fruits, size of vegetables. If you go to Baikula market, or if you go to APMC market, I am talking about the wholesale market, you will see papaya, which is about 25 to 30 kilos, one single papaya. People get enamored and they feel, yeah, what a wonderful papaya. And you purchase it. One papaya will cost about 600, 700 rupees. It is approximately anywhere from 500 to from 5 kgs to 20, 25 kgs, one single papaya. All this is being made by using injections. Very, very harmful injections, which eventually what happens is, and that is also the reason why nowadays you will find girls get puberty at a much lower age than it was in earlier generations. Nowadays, because oxytocin, which are toxin hormones, which are being fed right from childhood, from the milk, from various food products, you get puberty at a much lower age than it would have happened. Earlier, it was 11 to 12 when the girls used to get puberty, adolescence has to take place. Nowadays, you can find small kids, 7 years, 8 years, whether it is male or it is female, even 7 years, 8 years, males are getting mustaches. Girls are getting their period at a young age of 7 and 8. It is all happening because of excess hormones which is injected into the human body with or without knowledge, most of the time without knowledge, through your milk, through your food products, through your fruits, etc., etc. So it is very important for us to understand and purchase only those materials which you feel are naturally available. And if you find that something which is unnatural, which is not possible, then it is better to avoid. How to test for food adulteration? There are various methods are there. These are methods which are there, which you would have studied probably in your school, 11th, 12th standard, 8th, 9th standard. We have all studied this, so it's not something new. It's just a recollection. Everything that you consume is adulterated. You have mustard, which is adulterated with argemone. Ice cream powder is adulterated with washing powder. Sugar powder is adulterated with chalk. Instead of silver foil in the mithai, they add aluminium foil. There is a method of detection also. We will not go into details as the time will not permit for me to explain all of them in detail. So we'll just go through it. I will tell you how all these can be utilized by everyone who is listening. Coffee and chicory. Coffee you get in the market, there is brew coffee, which is actually brew mixed with chicory. And there is Nescafe Select, which is 100% pure coffee. Brew Gold is 100% pure. So will you say brew is adulterated? The answer is no, because they are declaring it that it is mixed with 15% chicory and 85% coffee. When a manufacturer declares that it is already mixed, then it is not considered adulteration, but it is considered as a formulation. So that is not a crime. Generally, chicory is not harmful for health. So there are people who actually add chicory to get, especially people in South India who drink coffee. They purchase chicory from outside and add it. Generally, chicory is not available because it is banned in India to sell chicory as chicory. So therefore, it is sold as French coffee. French coffee is nothing but 90% chicory and 10% coffee. Again, it's a loophole which is being used by the manufacturer. So instead of selling it as chicory, they sell it as French coffee. People in South India actually go and purchase coffee beans, they roast it, they grind it at home, then they get chicory, that is French coffee, and mix it up together so that they are able to get a good decoction. So adding chicory is not wrong, but adding chicory without telling you is wrong. Honey. Honey is another very, very common item which is being sold and it is adulterated. And you will find every 15-20 days, you will find an article on the newspaper that honey is banned, including the best of the companies which they are adding sugar. The difficulty is, it is very, very difficult to find out if a fructose or a liquid glucose or a liquid fructose is added, cane sugars are added. It is very difficult for a consumer to actually find out. But if water is added, it is easy. You can just dip a cotton leaf and try to burn it. And if it burns properly, then it is natural honey. Or if it doesn't burn, then it is containing water. Adding water is easy for you to find out. But nowadays, the adulteration has become so sophisticated that a consumer is unable to even find out by his test. Red chili powder, brick powder is added, Sudan red is added. It reminds me of an incident which happened about 10-15 years back. A container of chili was exported to England from Salem, which is Tamil Nadu. A big manufacturer sold it and it landed in Britain. They tested it and found that the red chili powder contained Sudan red. Sudan red is an artificial colorant which is cancerous. It is not even permitted for use in textile industry. But they use it in India to adulterate red chili to make it more redder. A normal Pondicherry or a Pandi brand of chili looking as red as a Kashmiri chili. So to make it more redder, they add Sudan red. It's a banned item. In England, they caught them, and it was when it was found, they said that we cannot accept this material because it contains a high proportion of Sudan red, which is bad and it is carcinogenic. You will be surprised that the Indian manufacturer said that he is willing to take back the container back to India if Britain doesn't want it. But the Britain law, adulteration law, is so strict. They said, we refuse to give it back to you and we will destroy it. In fact, they actually dumped the entire consignment into the sea. they said we will not return it back to you because our rule is very clear. If a product is found to be adulterated with a harmful material, we'll destroy it, we'll not return it back to you. Whereas the Indian exporter wanted it back to India so that he can sell it in India because in India the rules are not such. Although we did see a certain case in Maggi where they destroyed about almost 800 to 900 tons of Maggi which contained a very high proportion of heavy metals and contaminants, it was destroyed. But it is not a very common occurrence. Probably being a multinational company, they would have done it. If it is an Indian company, would they have done it? Probably our nationalism would have risen and they would have said, okay, leave it, forget it. Many people will get lose their job, the company will close down. These are the problems which is there in India. In spite of that, people take advantage. As I told you, rules are there. Implementations are not very stricter. Tea, turmeric, methylene yellow. Methylene yellow has been banned in India for almost in 1966. Today also, if you check turmeric acid, especially ones which you are getting in unpacked ones, you will find methylene yellow as adulterant. So you can just imagine the situation. Pulses, dal and moong dal, methylene yellow or lead chromate is added to make it attractive for you to purchase. Pure ghee and pure ghee, vanaspati is added. Vanaspati itself contains a high proportion of trans fat, so it's not really useful for to consume. But when you purchase ghee, vanaspati could have been mixed. So it is better to purchase from a branded, good company product. Black pepper, papaya seeds, we all know that. Papaya seeds. But the beauty of this adulteration is such is that the adulterator does not add in huge proportions. He adds it in any proportion less than 20%. So 80% will be true material and 20% will be the adulterant. Because more than 20%, a consumer will be able to easily identify that it has been adulterated. But if it is below 20%, just visually, it is very difficult for somebody to check it out unless and until you are really keen and you have systems and you know the methods to find out, it becomes very difficult. And in this fast moving age, when we don't have time, we hardly check these matters. Vegetable oil, castor oil, karanji oil, mineral oil is added. This is a typical case about 3 years back. I think during, not 3 years, it should be more than 3 years. It should be about the last, when the NCP government was there in Maharashtra, they brought a rule that vegetable oil should not be sold loose. It should be always sold in packs. You'll be surprised, the government, that was the earlier government of NCP Congress, they got a special permission from the central government stating that it's very difficult for them to pack oil in small packs. You see the funny part, you get shampoos in 5 grams and 10 grams sachets. There it is possible to do it. But vegetable oil is not possible because they don't have the facility. So as a special case, they were given 1 year permission. During that period, that government fell and the new government came in, which is the BJP government. You will be surprised, BJP government just continued that for the next 5 years without making any modifications. And now BJP government has gone. Again, a Congress Shiv Sena government has come in. The rule is continuing that even today, you will find that small oil in loose is still available in shops. During our testing, we found that in Mumbai, 68% of the oil which was available for loose was adulterated. 68%, not a small amount, 68%. Thankfully, harmful oils were not there. It was all diluted with palmolene. Palmolene was costing at that time about 40 rupees per kg. And groundnut and coconut oil were costing about 250 and 168, 170. That was the rate during that day, during that time when we tested it. So even if you add 20% of palm oil into an oil which is costing about 250 rupees, you can just imagine the amount of money the adulterator is making. And who is purchasing these? The poor. It is the poor people who purchase because the rich guy normally will go to a big shop and purchase 1 kilo, 5 kilo, 10 kilos, 20 kilos. tax, where adulteration is minimal. However, a poor individual who is running on day-to-day salary basis, those guys end up buying these products which are harmful. They get ill and sick and go to a government hospital where it is a taxpayer who actually takes care of their expenses. So indirectly, even though you may not be directly responsible or directly affected by it, indirectly you are also affected by adulteration, because indirectly it is your tax money which you are paying, and the poor person is suffering because of his inability to purchase a bigger pack. When you can sell 5 grams and 10 grams shampoos, I am still not able to understand why you can't sell 10 grams and 15 grams vegetable oil. They still continue to say it is practically impossible, commercially unviable, all these big management terms, and loose is being sold even till today. Besan, yellow dal, kesari dal is added, which can cause you paralysis of your limbs. Bajra, ergot infested bajra is added. In condensed milk, starch is added. Wheat flour, sand, dirt, chalk powder is added. Spices, barn is added. Cumin seeds, grass seeds which look similar. It is rubbed with charcoal so that it resembles jeera and added with cumin. Cloves, de-oil. You take out the clove oil out of it and then mix it with the good one. 20%, as I told you, they make 20%. It is very difficult for somebody to purchase, to find out whether it is mixed or not, unless and until you know that the bud is shrunken. If it is shrunken in appearance, you will realize that it has already been, oil has been removed, and then you can avoid purchasing it. Hing is added with other types of resins. Saffron is added with maize cob, which is butta. If you say butta का जो ऊपर का जो butta का जो hair है, उसको Sudan red में boil करते हैं. They boil it in Sudan red, which I told you a cancerous color. They boil it in it because it is very hard, fast, and steady as a colorant, and they mix it with saffron. When somebody purchases saffron, which is very, very small amount, which generally people purchase, it is very difficult for you to test it out, and it is very difficult at a small when somebody is purchasing 1 gram and 2 gram saffron. If you need to test it, you need 10 grams. Nobody is going to test it, and that's where they make money, because they know that you are not going to test it. Cinnamon is tested with cassia bark. There are many, many such products which are adulterated. We will concentrate more on milk, because milk is something which from a child to your old age we drink. Whatever I have not gone into detail, all this is available in the food adulteration and testing manual. If you go to our website, cbsiindia.org, or any of the websites of my personal website, you will be able to download this book. It is a small booklet, about 20 pages. Whatever I have explained till now, all of them are included there, along with the method that you can do it at home. You can check it at home, and then you will come to know whether it is good or bad. You can just visit any of these websites and then download this book. It's a 20-page booklet, wherein all the details what I've explained till now and what I'm going to explain in further is all included there, so that you will not miss anything if you have not taken notes, or if you feel or forget it. Let's take milk.
और अब आपको हम दिखाते हैं किस तरह दूध बेचने वाले दूध में पानी तो मिलाते ही हैं, लेकिन कई ऐसे इलाके भी हैं जहां दूध में गंगा जल मिलाया जा रहा है। ये बाजार में बिकने वाले दूध की हकीकत का नजारा है जो हमारे एक अलर्ट व्यूअर ने हमें भेजा। दूध में पानी और सिंथेटिक मिल्क बनाने का कारोबार तो जोर शोर से चलता ही है, लेकिन हरिद्वार में बड़े पैमाने पर गंगा से पानी लेकर दूध में मिलाया जा रहा है। गंगा जल को पवित्र माना जाता है, लोग गंगा स्नान के लिए दूर दूर से हरिद्वार आते हैं, लेकिन यहाँ ये पानी इतना शुद्ध भी नहीं होता कि इसे सीधे पी लिया जाए। गंगा जल में रेत और कंकड़ होते हैं, इनके बाद कई किस्म की बीमारियां हो सकती हैं, लेकिन पानी मिलाकर दूध बेचने वालों को इस मिलावट से काफी मुनाफा होता है और दूध वाले काफी मात्रा में एक साथ दूध तैयार कर लेते हैं और फिर थोड़ा थोड़ा करके कई दिनों तक बेचते हैं। आप देख सकते हैं किस तरीके से यहां दूध में सीधे गंगा का पानी मिलाया जा रहा है।
You can see the quality of milk you are getting. So what is the best method to find out? Just put a drop of milk on a polished vertical surface. The drop of pure milk either stops or flows slowly, leaving a white trail behind. If you are getting a watery trail, then you can consider that it contains milk and water mixed together. Because milk adulterated with water will flow immediately without leaving a mark. And you can find on the back side, instead of milk, you can find water in it. The other method is using a lactometer. Lactometer is a small instrument similar to a thermometer, which can be used at home. It costs about 20 to 30 rupees only. But however, the persons who are adulterating are so smart that even the lactometer gives wrong results. So it really doesn't matter. Why milk adulteration is very, very rampant and all over the country. This is the reason. Now, this is a very old figure, 2013 figure. You can just imagine. 5 lakh crores is the Indian industry. Packed milk, 150 million tons, 20,000 plus crores. Loose milk, 40,000 plus crores. Ice cream, 22,600 plus crores. Malted milk, 2,000 crores. Even if you consider 10% of it is adulterated, you can just imagine the parallel economy which is running in the milk adulteration market. So that is the reason why they are adding milk adulteration is very, very rampant, because it is also very, very simple and easy to do. We did tests in Mumbai and we have been continuously doing tests from 2006 onwards. Only in the last 2-3 years, because of COVID reasons, we have not done. Otherwise, even till the time the advent of COVID, we generally do these testings in most of our camps. And we found, even in Mumbai, we found that it is adulterated. It was adulterated with neutralizer, which is caustic alkali. Then you have others, hydrogen peroxide, formalin, benzoic acid, salicylic acid, borax, etc. So all that which is written in white letter was actually found in Mumbai milk. Cane sugar, glucose. Now glucose means nobody is going to use good quality glucose, which is very expensive. They will use the glucose which has been rejected by the company, which is actually supposed to be used for landfill or destroyed. Salt is added to increase the lactometer reading, that is to feed the lactometer. Starch is added to increase the thickness or SNF content. Urea is added, pulverized soap is added, as I told you in the earlier case. Detergent is added to thicken. Cheap milk powder, which is imported from Netherlands, from Australia, from New Zealand, very cheap ones, rejected ones, which are rejected by those countries, by those companies. Unscrupulous elements actually purchase it at low price, bring it to India, mix it in good milk and sell it at a high price. It does happen.
FSSAI ने पूरे देश से 1791 सैंपल लिए, जिसमें से 1226 सैंपल्स में मिलावट पाई गई। इन जगहों पर दूध में या तो पानी मिलाया गया था या खतरनाक डिटर्जेंट। अब विस्तार से बताते हैं सफेद दूध के काले सच के बारे में। सबसे पहले जानिए जांच के दौरान आपके दूध में क्या क्या मिला हुआ पाया गया। दूध को गाढ़ा करने के लिए स्कीम्ड मिल्क पाउडर मिलाया जाता है। ज्यादा सफेद करने के लिए इसमें डिटर्जेंट पाउडर मिलाया गया है। वसा और यूरिया भी दूध में मिलाया जा रहा है। हम आपको बता दें कि अगर ऐसा दूध किसी के शरीर में चला जाए तो उसको बड़ी बड़ी बीमारियां हो सकती हैं, जैसे लीवर खराब हो सकता है, स्टोन हो सकता है, पेट की दूसरी बीमारियां हो सकती हैं। अब जानिए देश के किन किन हिस्सों में कितना फीसदी दूध मिलावटी है। दिल्ली के अलावा FSSAI ने 33 राज्यों में मिलावटी दूध का पर्दाफाश किया है। दिल्ली में 70% दूध नकली है। पंजाब में 81% दूध में मिलावट है। राजस्थान में बिकने वाला 76% दूध मिलावटी है। गुजरात में 89%। महाराष्ट्र से दूध के जो सैंपल लिए गए उनमें मिलावट पाई गई। जम्मू कश्मीर में 83% दूध नकली है। इसके साथ ही पश्चिम बंगाल, उड़ीसा, छत्तीसगढ़, झारखंड और बिहार में एक भी सैंपल ऐसा नहीं मिला जिसमें मिलावट ना मिली हो, यानी 100% मिलावट। हालांकि इससे ठीक उल्टा गोवा और पौंडीचेरी में जितने भी सैंपल्स लिए गए, किसी में भी मिलावट नहीं पाई गई।
Normally, if it is a offline lecture, we have a demonstration, but that cannot be done here. So we just skip it. These are the methods of how it has to be done. As I told you, the earlier booklet, all this is mentioned that you can use that. Earlier, CBSI used to give kits, milk adulteration test kits, which we used to manufacture and give for 30 rupees for you to take about 5 or 6 samples. However, we have discontinued it for long after the Food Safety and Standards Authority has put the new safety law in place. From 2006 onwards to 2013, we used to give that kit, but it has been discontinued after 2013. Now, NDDB, National Dairy Development Board, is selling those kits which can be purchased and testing can be done. However, the problem with them is they are giving a kit which is allowed to test about 100 samples, which is generally difficult for individual household to purchase because we are not going to test 100 samples. So either purchase it and do it, or the other option is manufacture it by using these methods. These methods, as I told you, is there in the booklet. I just described one single test on the very first test, which is the soda test. Soda is added so that the milk will not get curdled when you are adulterating it, because when you adulterate milk with other items, curdling is the most easiest occurrence. To prevent that, they add soda. Soda is nothing the same washing soda that you use at home for washing clothes. That's what they add. How to do the test? It's a very, very simple test. Take 5 ml of milk in a test tube, add 5 ml of alcohol, followed by 2 drops of 1% resonanic acid in alcoholic solution. The color of the milk changes to pinkish red. It is inferred that the milk is adulterated. It is as simple as that. These simple tests are available. However, you will have to make this. All these chemicals are easily available. Any student of 10th or 12th standard will be able to procure it in their college laboratory. The best method is to associate and get it tested in a laboratory, or if you have got a child at home, you can give them a project. We will be more than happy to join the project and help them out in doing the testing activity. Unfortunately, it has to be done only in a college laboratory because it cannot be done otherwise. The next option is to have the kit at home, then it can be done at home also. But then the kit as is not available in small amounts, it is available only for large sample size. Starch is another simple method. Just take 3 ml of milk in a test tube, boil it, cool it to room temperature, add 1 or 2 drops of iodine, and you will get a color which is blue, which is indicating starch has been added, maida has been added, or atta has been added in the milk to make it thick. So these are the various methods for which testing can be done. We will skip this because of lack of time. And what does it all do? How do you do milk adulteration? Adding water. That is the main thing. The moment you add water, it becomes diluted, it becomes light. To prevent consumers from checking it, they add all the other chemicals so that it is not easily identifiable by the consumer. Contaminated water contains all these harmful elements: arsenic, barium, cadmium, cobalt, lead, copper, tin, zinc, mercury. Because an adulterator is not going to add distillery water or a bottled packaged water. He is going to use well water. Even if he uses municipal water, we may not have too much of this because municipal water, at least in Mumbai, is not that bad. But however, if you have seen the earlier photograph which I showed you, it is all done in hutments. And in hutments, they don't get even municipal water unless and until they steal it from the municipal pipe. So what they do is they use well water, which is easily available. And that is the problem. When they use well water, not only you get these harmful contaminants and ingredients, you will also get germs which can come from various germs which are present. You may get Bacillus cereus, Staphylococcus aureus, Clostridium, virus infections, hepatitis. Fluorides are there, nitrates are there, pesticide residues are there, industrial wastes are there, which all get mixed in the dirty water, well water, which will eventually lead to various types of diseases. We'll not go into details of this. These are the ones materials which were found in Mumbai: soda, H2O2, formalin, urea, ammonium sulfate, borax, boric acid, salicylic acid. Eventually, you can see all those names of diseases which nobody wants to hear. But what we can say is finally it will lead to death and destruction. Apart from this, there is another method. You create artificial or synthetic milk. That is also being sold. It is not milk at all, it is synthetic milk. I'll show you a couple of films.
Now moving on back home, if you thought that your daily glass of milk was healthy, think again. Here's a special NTV report on how farmers and cooperatives are adulterating milk, mixing it with harmful substances like urea, detergent powder and even caustic soda.
Milk, considered good for health. Your doctor would agree, so would grandma. But if you think the milk delivered at your home is pure, think again. Milk is being adulterated with harmful substances like urea, detergent powder and caustic soda. Jugaad, a common mode of transport used in western Uttar Pradesh. Vehicles not manufactured by automobile companies but assembled locally. The local talent has extended to adulterate milk products as well. We visited several villages around Agra where milk is being openly adulterated.
ये दूध बनाने का सामान कहाँ मिलेगा, कहाँ से लेना पड़ेगा? हमारे पास एक कस्बा है। अच्छा, उसमें से लाते हैं जी। चलो फिर क्या? चलो चलिए। अच्छा, ये मतलब यहाँ आगरा के आसपास, अलीगढ़ के आसपास सभी शहरों में मिलते हैं छोटे-छोटे कस्बों के सामान? हाँ जी, सब में मिलते हैं। सब गाँव दूध वाले काम करते हैं। अच्छा, खरीदते हैं। तो हर गाँव में इस तरह काम हो रहा है यहाँ पे? जितने भी गाँव हैं, सिंथेटिक दूध बनाने का काम हर गाँव में होता है? हाँ जी, जो जानता है वो तो करता ही, हर गाँव में हो रहा है। अच्छा अच्छा, और वहाँ पे सामान कहाँ से आता है? ये वो अपने आगरा से, कहीं से, मथुरा से, अच्छा, ऐसे बड़े शहरों से लाते हैं। अच्छा।
We finally get access to the materials used to adulterate milk. Harmful substances like caustic soda, adulterated refined oil and some sticky substance that is called glucose locally. The list seems endless. The process begins in the dead of the night and is over by the time the milk vans arrive in the morning. All this in a country that's the world's largest milk producer, 10 crore tons annually. Now some details on the procedure. First, some fresh milk is mixed with liquid used to wash fabrics. This is followed by a dose of adulterated refined oil. The mixture is then put aside for half an hour, after which water is added according to requirement. Soon, synthetic milk is ready. Each village in this region produces 300 liters of milk daily, which is transported in vans, not in aluminium cans, but in plastic tanks to the nearby plants to be chilled. There are dozens of such chilling units in Agra. This spurious milk is then sourced by various dairies and distributed in big cities and towns. It's a nexus from which everyone, barring the consumer, benefits.
तो उनको मालूम तो चलता होगा कि दूध नकली दे रहे हैं आप, उनको पता होता है सब कुछ, फिर भी सप्लाई करते रहते हैं। वो रेट दे कम से कम 3 रुपए डाउन लेते हैं। सही वाला दूध? हाँ जी। तो जो अलग दूध लेते हैं वो सस्ता लेते हैं, वो महंगा लेते हैं, मतलब जो आप वाला दूध है वो सस्ता, 3 रुपए सस्ता लेते हैं।
For many, milk is nutritious and energetic, a wholesome diet in itself, a metaphor for purity. Maybe it's time for a rethink. With Mukesh Singh Sengar in Agra.
Madam, it is already 6:45. Do I have any more time or I should stop?
Ranjana Di? Ranjana Di?
Or should I continue?
Let me just ask the president. One second. Ranjana Di? He is asking for permission to continue or he's saying should he stop?
I think now let's interact.
Okay. Sitaram, just conclude and then we'll wait for the questions.
Fine.
Will you conclude?
Yeah, I'm concluding it.
Okay.
So now the question is, who is responsible to stop adulteration? Generally, we say that the government is responsible, the industry and trade is responsible, and finally the consumer. Government makes rules and regulations, industry does it for their business, but it is the consumer is actually getting affected. So more importantly, being aware is very, very important. And the only way to do that is to understand how adulteration is done and how you can prevent it and what are the remedies of doing it. What are the remedies? Buy branded BIS or ISI mark products. Buy branded item, it is worth paying a little extra and safeguard your health. Preserve the grocery bills. Please do not throw any of the bills because it is necessary in case you find that there is some problem and you have to complain. Without the bill, nobody is going to accept it. Many a times the bills are in paper which gets erased. In such cases, it is better to Xerox it or photo it and keep it with you, especially in cases where you doubt the product. Complain to the Prevention of Adulteration Department in Mumbai. It is in Bandra. You can complain so that you can see to it that these people are punished. Do not keep silent. That's the important part. If you don't want to complain directly, you can contact Consumer Guidance Society of India and other consumer organizations. There are various consumer organizations. We have a consumer complaint number 1800222262. You can complain here and register it. What we can promise you is we will see to it that your complaint reaches the right ear, that is in the government of Maharashtra. And then they will take action. They have their own methods of doing action. At least you will be sure that we will pass on your message to the right person. Now let me ask you, will you be an aware consumer? I am sure that everyone will say yes, we will be an aware consumer. It is not sufficient. You have to be an active consumer. Whatever you have learned, please pass on this message to others. Let them know so that either way, this adulteration which is happening is stopped. Thanks and best wishes.
Right now, we are dead consumers.
No, I mean, this session has been an eye-opener. As Indians, we know that yes, there is some amount of adulteration going on. Not that we're ignorant about it, but that there is so much of it and openly being done at the cost and risk of our health and survival. I mean, I was not really aware of this intensity. It's very scary, in fact.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Vandana has
In
something
fact,
to
the
say.
problem is, see, banana, it is done in Belgaum. When people are going and filming it, showing it in television, everybody knows it. All over the country, you are getting it. We know all these bananas are done in Belgaum, that area. Still, government doesn't take any action. That is the unfortunate part. Even if you complain, you can complain to FDA that it is being done. But nobody does anything because implementation authority is very, very poor. They take bribes and hush up the matter.
Ranjanadi, who is moderating the questions?
Amita.
Yeah, I have been going through the chat section and
Yeah,
I find
Vandana ji has raised her hand and there are
Can
some
I?
questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can go ahead with that. And
Yeah, Mitaji, with your permission, can I?
yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Dixit, I was wondering, you talked about a lot adulteration in milk.
Right.
So all these dairies, Rashmi also asked the same question.
Yeah.
Amul, Mother Dairy, which, the state cooperatives.
Right.
So do they also source adulterated milk or is there any check on that?
Generally, I'll tell you, generally what happens is, especially these cooperative dairies, when they deliver milk, they deliver at the dead of the night. The delivery is done between 12 to 2. And this delivery is generally done in some corner footpath, where the person who is going to sell or put it in your house picks it up at 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Now he has got sufficient time, almost 4 hours time before he actually delivers it in your house. So this adulteration does not take place in your company. It happens in the distribution network. So best way what is to avoid? It is best thing is to avoid purchasing from people whom you don't trust. Go to a shop and purchase it.
So you are suggesting this Amul, Mother Dairy, Varka and all, the state cooperatives, they are,
Yeah,
they
company
are
directly
trustworthy.
does not do it, but if the distribution network you can't trust.
No, that is fine. But did you check the samples from these dairies also? Because you have mentioned, so many products.
Yes, Vandana, they have checked. They have checked.
We have checked on all the companies and we find that all the companies are adulterated as well as good. So you can't say that the company is bad. That is the reason if you see, we have actually, we release every year.
This is very scary, Dr.
Reports which are there in our
Dixit.
website. You can go and read the testing reports in the website.
Here, Dr. Dixit,
very scary.
Yeah.
Yes, I have one request to make to you. This manual booklet which you are talking about,
Right.
I will take the president's permission later, but I want you to give me that manual. I want to upload it on our website.
Yeah. You can just download it and upload it there. Just download it and then upload it in your website. No
I
issue.
think that we read it and go through it.
Yes, we need.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll put it up on the website. Whoever wants to download it can download it and then read it.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
a very
freely
good
available.
suggestion, Parag. Yeah.
In fact, this same website was actually used by Bureau of Indian Standards and FSSAI. They actually used my book only to create their manual.
Okay.
Because this is the 14th edition which is going. We published it way back in 2006.
And the greater the number of people come to know of it.
Yes.
They know it, but the problem is people don't have time to do the testing. That's the problem.
How? The kind of testing you are saying it is not possible to do.
Yeah, the
No, it is
chemicals.
possible to do. But then the problem is the material which is available, they are giving only for 100 samples. So that costs about 3,000 rupees, which is expensive.
Yes.
That's what we say, Consumer Guiding Society, we were selling for 30 rupees for 5 samples, which was good enough. But even there, when we were selling, we were actually losing 25 rupees every time. It was sponsored by somebody, so we were selling it for 30 rupees. We were actually spending 25 rupees from our pocket. But then we were selling as a social activity. But we stopped it in 2013. From 2006 onwards, we were selling for 30 rupees. We are selling at a loss. Many people purchased it, did the testing and found out that the milk they were drinking was not of a good quality. So this can be done. It is not that. Even if you catch hold of some 11th or 12th standard students, these chemicals can be easily prepared at home. There is no problem. The problem is when you prepare the chemical, you just need 1 or 2 drops. But you can't make 1 or 2 drops. You have to make at least 100 ml to 1 liter. What will you do with that? Unless you have a big team which you can distribute among yourselves, you can make 1 liter, ask a 12th standard student or a 10th standard student to make that. And then you distribute it among your people and then they can test it out. Or you can, one day you can assemble all of them in one place and test out everybody's milk. That is possible. That we normally do.
And apart from testing, at least first we let us have the knowledge of what all things are getting mixed into which items.
Yeah.
That is important. I think Amrita can call for the...
Yes, thank you, Dr. Dixit. It has been a very, very eye-opener kind of a talk, and we have had a few discussions, and I am sure this will continue for quite some time if we don't stop now. And now I invite the IFA Vice President, Mrs. Gomti, to convey her formal vote of thanks to everyone.
Good
People
evening,
involved.
members of the UWACs and if you are CC members who are present here today. It's my privilege to give the vote of thanks on behalf of our President, Dr. Ranjana Banerjee, and those who are on the committee of the IFUA board. I think it's a great privilege to this evening to have been able to hear Dr. Sitaram Dixit give this very, very informative and eye-opening talk, which has made us all a little afraid even to think what we've been eating and drinking all these years of our life. And I can well believe that the increase in diseases, especially cancer in women, is so rampant. It's probably because what we have been eating without knowing it. And all that we have done is to take people on trust, to buy things from companies which we trust. But if they have stooped to make profit out of the poor citizens of our country and all over the world, we are living in a global society where the economy of your country is run by consumerism. And if a consumer is fooled and duped and abused like this, then I think we should go to war against all these people who have done this to us. It's a crime. It's a punishable offense. Thank you, Dr. Dixit. It's been very good. And I thank Dr. Ranjana Banerjee to have taken this wonderful topic for us to know about. You know, we've lived our life, you know, literally with our Ranjana. I think it has been extremely good for us to know, even if it at this late age, so that we can pass on some information to our children and grandchildren. You know, we should be more careful in what we eat and what consume.
I would like to conclude here. I would just like to interject here, madam, with your permission. Anything that looks very attractive and enticing should be avoided.
Quite right.
Thank you, Dr. Dixit. I think it has been one of the most informative evenings.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for organizing this session.
Yeah, we could have gone on and on.
Very useful for all of us. Dr. Dixit, it was really very informative. That's scary same time.
If anybody has got any doubts, they can call me in my cellular or you can send me an email. I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dixit.
Thank you all.
Thank you for an informative talk.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gomti ji.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, should I log out?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Thank you so
everyone.
much, Ranjana. Bye-bye. Bye. Good
Bye,
night.
Dr. Dixit. Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Kashmir.
Thank you, Dr. Dixit,
Thanks,
once again.
everyone. Bye.
Yes, thank you.